Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Brief Let's Talk About It podcast. Yes, we are back again with another amazing guest. And as you guys know, before we get started, the lawyers wanted me to let you know that this is for entertainment purposes only. If you guys are struggling, needing support, please seek professionals in your neighborhood and get the correct support for you. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor. Go to their YouTube channels, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode. But also, if you like the conversations and you have a question, please leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think about it. And if you know anyone who could benefit from these conversations, please, by all means, share this with them. Now, today is this guy is amazing, man. He's been called his kids is superhero, man. He has a book out. This man has done some amazing things. He's gone through the ringer and he has picked himself up by the bootstraps and is keeping it moving. You guys be prepared, sit back and be prepared to be inspired. My next guest is Kyle Jetsel. And I'm gonna let you guys hear it for yourself, all right? You guys are gonna be amazed. Give me 1 second. Kyle.
Hey, Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. Thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for your time today. Man, it's been an honor. It's been in the making, right?
Yeah, it has. It took us a little bit to get here, Tony, but I'm glad we're here now.
I really am too, man. I really am. Patience is the key to everything that we do, right? So before we get started, introduce yourself. Tell people where you're from.
So my name's Kyle Jetsel, and I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, in a little area in Dallas called Oak Cliff, kind of an inner city area. Kind of grew up in a rougher part of town. We've had a little conversation about this, Tony, and had to learn some hard lessons the hard way.
That's the way they need it. That's the way they come, man. I don't think there's a hard lesson that comes the easy way.
Yeah. The good thing is instead of allowing it to make me bitter and angry and fight with the world, I've chosen, as you have, Tony, and I think this is why we've connected, is I've chosen to really allow it to help me to grow and learn and try to become a better human being for the world and really try to spread joy and happiness everywhere I go. So I like to call myself the driven autism dad. Because I've got 6 kids and I've got a son that's more severe on the autism spectrum. Okay. And he's been quite a challenge for me. So I spend a lot of my time now helping other parents learn how to manage those difficult challenges at home that they face with those kids that are a little different than and will present some kind of unique challenges that they don't normally see, Tony.
Right. Now, you're a single father though, right?
I am now. My wife passed away a little bit over 2 years ago now. So I am a single father. I was married to the same woman, again, that gave me these great 6 kids for 30 years.
Now, let's go back to there because I want people to grasp your journey of how you became that single father and, you know what I'm saying, and how you turned everything around to be such an inspiration. And as your son said, right, to become that superhero dad that you are to them in understanding the steps of autism and how to manage. So let's go back, to the relationship with you and your wife. You was married for 30 years.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet, man?
So we met in a club. we met dancing, right? So I was the kind of guy that I'll share with you a story. When I was a kid, I remember one day I was playing YMCA basketball. I was just a little bitty kid, right? Mm-hmm. And I lived the gym where I practiced at was about a mile from my house. And in the summertime, it gets dark a little bit earlier.
Right.
Well, the neighborhood I grew up in was not a place that a 100-pound little white kid needed to be walking home after dark. If you know what I'm saying. Well, actually, nobody needed to be walking home after dark, right?
That's the truth.
And so I remember one day time had changed and it was dark outside, and I finished basketball, and I'm thinking, this is the gauntlet, right? I got to get home and it's dark. And so I threw my tennis shoes over my shoulder and took off running. And I mean, I might have set a land speed record for how fast you can get home when you're scared. You know this, Tony, when you're scared, you can run real fast.
Ain't that the truth, right? You don't even think about running. You just want your feet to move in the direction that you want to go.
Head down, running fast, right? As long as I can see one step ahead of me, I ain't looking anywhere. I'm going straight home. I got home. I was breathing heavy, real heavy. And my dad was he was standing there and he said, "Why are you breathing so heavy?" I said, "What?" Because I just ran home from basketball. He said, "Well, why did you run?" I said, "Do you not realize where we live, Dad? It's dangerous out there. It's a dangerous place." And he stopped me for a second and he kind of looked at me and he said, "You know what?" He said, "You've been beat up before and you're just fine. Quit being so scared." That's what he told me. Right. I'm probably 11 years old.
Yeah.
And he was right. I've been beat up plenty of times. We all get in tussles and I was fine. Yeah. And so, at that moment I was thinking, that's cold. I was thinking that's cold, Dad. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. So I tried to up the ante with him. I said, "Dad, what if somebody kills me?" I was trying to get a little sympathy,
Yeah.
And my dad says, "You know what? You're a good boy. If they kill you, you're in a better place. Quit being so scared." That's what he told me at 11 years old, right? Now, I don't know if that's the right thing to tell an 11-year-old.
Probably not.
But at that moment, I remember thinking, he's right. I've been beat up before. I'm going to be beat up again. And if I die, I'm in a better place. I remember thinking that. So I thought, you know what? He's right. I need to stand up tall and strong. I don't need to be afraid of the world. I'm a man, right? I'm 11, right? You know how it is.
Right.
I'm just a little kid. But I'm thinking, in that moment, I think my dad knew me enough to know that it would impact me in a powerful way.
Right.
And so it made me, it was the moment I realized, you know what? I'm going to be unafraid. I mean, I'm not going to put myself in dangerous positions if I can keep from it, but I'm not going to walk around in fear anymore.
Right.
And it really changed me because at that moment I thought, you know what? People don't, when you're a target is when you get targeted, right? But if you stand up straight and tall and you maybe just act like you're somebody important or somebody special, or stand up tall and proud, maybe you're not such a, so I started doing that moving forward. And I remember growing up, putting myself in positions that I would have never attempted because I would have been scared. But I just faced things with confidence and courage. And a lot of times, Tony, there was no reason for me to be confident or courageous, but I just was, right? I just stood up and I said, I'm going to face this, right? And I ended up doing a lot of things in my life that gave me a lot of experiences that made me a better person because I just faced it. I just said, you know what? I'm a man. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to face it. And if something bad happens, I'll face it, right? I'm not going to be afraid of challenges and those things moving forward. And I really think I couldn't really have experienced those things and really been, maybe the leader and the as strong as I ended up being otherwise had I not had to go through some of those things as a young man. And so I remember when I met my wife down the road, she ended up telling me, she said, one of the things that I loved about you is, she said, you look like you were running the world. She said, I saw you, and I walked over to her and she had a tennis bracelet on. I said, you play tennis? She said, yeah. I said, we should go play. And that was the beginning of our relationship, right? And she said, I was attracted to you because you walked like you knew who you were. And I said, I really didn't. I was just faking it. I don't know who I still don't know sometimes, right, Tony? But sometimes standing up tall, putting your body in that space, right? Filling up the space that you're in. And whenever I would go to these places, wherever I went, Tony, I was looking for the prettiest girl in the room. And that was that was the girl I was going to go talk to, right? It wasn't a second or third or just I'm going to the prettiest. I'm going to find the prettiest girl in this room. And that's who I'm going to talk to, because you know why? That's what the big, strong man with presence does, right? And she happened to be that night the prettiest girl in the room. And so that's really how we met, and how we started to develop that relationship was just by a chance meeting, because she was the prettiest girl in the room. And I was that guy, or at least I pretended to be that guy. Right, Tony?
Well, you know, and I want the audience to understand, like, you know what I'm saying, where you grew up at was, I mean, and I hate to say it this way, but it's the truth. It was predominantly Black, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Here you are growing up in Chicago, correct?
Well, I grew up in Dallas. Yeah.
In Dallas. I'm sorry. Yeah. Dallas. See, I keep forgetting things. So thank you for the correction. So Dallas, right? You know, and we all know about Dallas, even nowadays, right? You know what I'm saying? Dallas is not the place, man. You know what I'm saying? If you got any sort of weakness about you, you know, they get you.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely get you, right? You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have a sense of confidence about you. You know what I'm saying? You know what it reminds me of? Eminem.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Growing up in Detroit, you know what I'm saying? Young white rapper around all these Black people, getting his butt whipped, right? He had to go through his fair share of challenges, but then there was a sense of respect that came along with that. Like, no, I'm no longer going to run. If you're going to beat me up, you're going to beat me up, but I'm going to fight you back, right? And after a while, we tend to understand, especially as men, this is like a rite of passage.
Right. Yeah.
Are you strong enough to walk these streets with us? Because if you are, you know what I'm saying, we got a place for you beside us.
You're exactly right.
If you aren't, you gotta go. You gotta go, right? So so you earned your rite of passage, and then you walking around now. You with your boys.
That's right.
Now you going in the clubs and you comfortable because now you probably fought almost everybody in there.
So well, I didn't have to. You know, you don't even have to sometimes when you present yourself. Right.
Yeah, but you had to fight your hand full. So I'm pretty sure people was like, that's cow. You know what I'm saying?
You respect others. You respect them as men. They respect you as a man. And you can go anywhere you want and be whoever you want. Right. And that's a big part of it. Right. That is a big part of it. Yeah.
A lot of kids nowadays don't understand that.
You know what? I think it's a good thing for all of especially I've got 5 sons.
Uh-huh.
And they all, I mean, we got a punching bag in the garage and a speed bag, and they know how to handle themselves. You don't want to mess with one of my boys right now.
Love it.
The good news is they're not running around looking for trouble. They're good men. They're good men. They're kind men. Well, but they're strong. They're strong men, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I've taught my sons, I said, listen, a good man is not a weak man. A good man is an animal that knows how to manage himself well.
Oh, wait. Right? You already know. I was just explaining that exact same thing to someone else, right?
Right.
Because they asked me. I mean, first time I've ever been asked, what sort of man are you? I said, I'm a good man. They said, well, how do you know what a good man is? I said, well, put it this way. If I saw someone, robbing an old lady, I would chase you down, break your legs and your arms without any question, and take that lady back her bag and walk her to her car. I'm a good man. I'm a good man because I think Dr. Jordan Peterson said it best. You need to become a monster, and then you need to learn how to control it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't know how to defend yourself in this world, then what good are you, right? You just get run over by everything. You just have to take everything that anybody does to you. But it's who said it best? Machine Sun. The Art of War.
The Art of War.
Right?
Yep.
I would rather be a warrior in a garden than to be a gardener in a war.
That's exactly.
Only one of us is effective.
Right. Right.
So that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at that man who's gone through war, and you know what I'm saying? Even though we don't go out looking for it, if you bring it to us, it's on. You know what I'm saying?
You got a little bit of a problem. I'll never forget one time I was riding with my wife before we got married, and we're driving through my neighborhood, and she, that I grew up in, and she said, "This is kind of a scary neighborhood." I said, "No, this isn't a scary neighborhood." I said, "That neighborhood over there is." And she said, "Kyle, that neighborhood's the same as yours." She said that the difference is you know your neighborhood, so you don't recognize the danger in your own neighborhood because that's where you live. She said, but
Right.
and it made me realize it was interesting that same drive. I remember we were driving near downtown, and we're driving, and we pull up to a stoplight, and a fellow walks across the street. At this time, it was either a wino or a crackhead. It's hard to tell sometimes. Okay, and Shelly, before we were married, she leaned over and locked the door. Well, the fellow saw her, and he got mad, so he stood in front of our car and started screaming. And she said, and I looked at her. She said, "Don't do it." And I said, "Too late." I hopped out of the car. I walked over to the guy and I said, "Listen, bro, you look like a freaking crackhead. How can you not expect a beautiful feminine woman to not want to protect herself from a freaking crackhead? Don't you ever disrespect my woman." And I started screaming at him, and I said, "Apologize," right? And I'm in his face, and he's like shocked, and she's scared, and he apologized. And I got back in the car, and we drove quietly for another probably 5 minutes. And she turned to me and she said, "Please don't ever do that again." That scared me. But here's what I know, Tony. Years later, she said to me, "I never felt scared with you. I always, wherever we went, you walked as if you were in charge, and I could be on your arm." And I remember we went to Vegas one year on our anniversary. And when you walk down the strip, it's wild, it's crazy, it's fun. But you go by in a back alley, you start to see what living in excess can do to people, right? I mean, that's what Vegas is. It's a city of excess, right? It's gambling, it's drinking, it's everything, all the excess. But when you go in that back alley and you start seeing the people that have overdone it and are living these hard lives and are in trouble, they're in trouble, right? Yeah, and as we're walking, she got tighter and closer to me, right? And she was unafraid because I was unafraid, right? And we get to our hotel room, and she says, "I love that." She said, I feel protected and I feel safe next to you. And when you gotta sometimes you gotta face the depths of hell, you want your woman to say, I feel protected by you. If we gotta face this challenge, this overwhelming challenge, you're the man to protect me and to walk me through this alley, right? I want to be on your arm. And that's what we want. We want to be leaders. We want to be pillars of strength. And we want to exude that confidence, because that's who we need to be for those people that our stewardship, right? Our kids and our woman, or whatever it is, whoever we have that we're trying to lead, they need to see us as these strong men in these difficult times, right? And not to fall apart or to collapse or whatever the case may be, right? We got to stand up and face that storm and let them stand behind us. We got to shield them from that storm and be that guard, right, that they can turn to. And as well as I do, Tony, we need that too. We need divinity, right? We need our God. We need to have confidence that we're good men, that God will be there for us too in those moments, right? Yeah.
Yes. And this is, and when you put it that way, right, so that I want people to understand what that means, is that how we stand in the front of the people that we love as protectors, because we know that, like, they're behind us. We got you. We're the first line of defense of anything that comes your way as men, right? We know that, when we stand up against that opposing force, as long as we're faithful and obedient and we put God first in front of anything that we have, we stand behind our Father.
Yeah.
Right. Which gives us the courage to make sure that you're protected, but also gives you the courage, to walk with me. Like, I want to be sure, like you said, I want to let you know that I'm here to lead. right? I'm here to lead my family. I'm here, you know what I'm saying? I'm here to walk, you know what I'm saying, with my woman and my children and things like that as one unit. But you know what I'm saying? There's a hierarchy. When things come up, let's fall in line. Everybody from the wife to the kids, get behind me. God, I need you in front of me.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can go like this, like, nope, get in line. You know what I'm saying? Let's
That's
line it up. Let's keep it moving, right? You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's really important, and things like that, because I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark. I know I have several times, right? You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how to lead, right? You know what I'm saying?
We have to learn, Tony. We have to
No,
learn, right? We have to
it
learn.
wasn't. It wasn't that. Um, it was more of um, the women that I was with, right? You know what I'm saying? They didn't need a leader. They needed someone to help them start healing. So once I yeah, there's a
Yeah,
difference. So
right.
I've had to come to that realization that, you know what I'm saying, the relationship aspect is out of the door for me. It's not for me. Because
Right.
I listen to people's conversations, you know, so especially when it comes down to women. They may say, "Oh, I'm interested," but they're not listening. And when they start to go, "Well, my ex did this, my ex did that," I know why you're here now. You know what I'm saying? So it eliminates a lot of things. It happens a lot more than what I can really care to admit. So it's not that, you know what I'm saying, it's not that I wasn't trying to lead. I just never had the opportunity to, because in certain situations, you have to look at it and go, okay, I'll be a piece of shit if I took advantage of this situation. So I want to be a gentleman and respect it, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is off the table. This is off the table. I
Sure.
can give you this, but I can't do this.
Right.
Right. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So respect. So always respect for myself, respect for everyone else. Because no one's good to you if they're unhealed. It sounds like you met yours at an early age, you know what I'm saying? So you guys
Yeah.
got the chance to grow and things like that. Now, walk me through the process of those years leading up to her passing.
Yeah. So when we first got married, we were very thoughtful in having kids and raising kids. And
Mhm.
I'm just going to be straight with you, Tony. I was, when we first, I know she saw some things in me, but I'm sure she was very feminine and calm and super loving, right? And I think
Yeah.
that was perfect for me because she taught me a lot of things I needed to learn about uh, being loving and kind of get me out of the hood a little bit, right? And she had to kind of had to break me in. But as we started to have our first two sons, we really were thoughtful about how we wanted to raise them, and things were going pretty well, right? I mean, and we were working hard as a couple, and our kids were, even though they were two boys and they were crazy because boys are crazy as when they're
Of
little,
course, of course.
they're crazy. We were doing good, right? Well, then my third son came along, and we thought we had lost all ability to parent. We didn't. He wasn't responding to any of that. He wasn't responding to anything. He didn't talk. He was 3 or 4 years old, hadn't talked. He was very elusive. All these different things that you think of when you think of autism. And so, when we finally got the diagnosis, of autism, we were kind of relieved, she and I, because we thought now we could get him the help he needed to give us back our normal, typical happy family.
Right.
But it didn't really work like that. All the therapies and all the experts and the training and all this stuff really didn't help us address some of the really hard things he did. He would have these meltdowns where he'd scream and yell, and he really didn't have a line he wouldn't cross as far as his behaviors. If he got mad and there was a brick next to him, he would throw it at your head. That's
Ooh.
just yeah. And it got to where the stress in our home was so overwhelming that it started to create problems between my wife and I, because when there's a lot of stress, you want to blame somebody, and I think we were turning on each other a little bit, and she was thinking, well, if you were a better dad, maybe this, and I was thinking, well, it's your responsibility. You're the mom with him at home, and it caused this conflict. Well, one morning he had a really bad episode, and my wife and I got into a really bad argument, the kind that can ruin relationships,
Mhm.
right? One of these, and what I'm talking about. We've all had these arguments where you start to wonder, is this even right?
Oh,
You start to
yeah.
question your relationship. Well,
Oh,
the argument got so bad that I realized that the monster in me was coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was so feminine and beautiful that I didn't really want her to see that, right? And I didn't, because I knew it would scare her because it's still in there, right? And I remember grabbing my keys. I walked out on the front porch and I thought, I'm going to hop in my car and I'm leaving. I'm done. This ain't the life I signed up for. You know, my wife is crazy. My son is out of control. He's got autism. There's no help for him. My typical boys, my two older sons, were hiding in their room with the door locked because they wanted to stay out of the way. And I thought, this isn't what I signed up for, right? I can't do it anymore. And I had that moment where I thought it was over. There's no help to be had. Mm. And in that moment, I remember a lesson my dad had taught me when I was playing baseball, when I was probably 12 or 13 years old. And there was 2 outs and I was playing shortstop and we needed 1 out and the game's over and we win, right? We're ahead. Well, the kid hits the ball to me and I made an error and the next few kids get on base. We lost, they won. It was all my fault, right? That's how I felt. So after the game, I went over to my dad and I think I had tears in my eyes. You know, when you're 12 years old, you lose a game, it's all your fault. It's rough. You know, that's your life, right? That's your life. And I said, Dad, I wish the ball wasn't hit to me because then we could have won. And my dad got down on my level and he said, you know what, son, that's not how we do things. He said, you don't ever want to leave your success or failure in anybody else's hands. He said, you never give up. When it gets tough, you dig in, you fight for what you believe. He said in sports, when there's 2 outs, you want the ball hit to you. If it's basketball and the clock is running down, you better go get that ball to take that shot. You want to be the reason. He said, now you're going to fail sometimes, but you don't ever want to pass that off to anybody else. When it's important, you take control of your life. Don't ever go down without a fight. Well, that memory was in my brain in that moment. I thought, but I've done everything. I've taken them to the experts. I can't be with them all day at home. I started making these excuses. You know how we do, right? Mm-hmm. It's my wife. It's my kids. It's my situation. It's the world. I started making all these excuses. But then I thought, you know what? The other thing that my dad taught me to do was when I didn't know what to do, to pray.
Yes.
So I walked over underneath a pecan tree in our front yard and I just fell to my knees and I started praying. And I said, I don't remember what I said, but I remember how I felt. And I remember feeling like God said to me, the problem is not your wife. The problem is not your kids. The problem is you. Fix you. And stay here. Stay here. Fix you. And in that moment, I didn't like that, right? You never want to think you're the reason for your struggles and failures and problems. But that's the only way. I realized also that was the only way I could have an impact. I couldn't run from it. That's not what men do, right? We face those storms. We face those challenges. And so it kind of gave me comfort to think, you know what? I'm going to work at it. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to die trying. That's what I said. In that moment, I said, I don't care what happens. I ain't leaving. I love her. I love my wife. I love my kids. I'm going to die trying. And I went back in that moment and I said to my wife, I said, you know what? I'm not leaving and I'm going to fix this. And she said to me in that moment, Tony, she said, good luck. She was mad, right?
You gotta stop messing with it.
Yeah. And I, here I am talking to God and feeling like I'm the man, right? And she just hit me with it. And I thought, you know what? Of course, she's lost faith in me. She's lost trust in me as the leader. Right. It is me. I'm, if anybody can fix this, it's me. I'm just the man for this problem, right? Mm-hmm. And it's that, we talked about this. It's that faith and courage and strength. If you don't know what the crap you're doing, you still got to stand up tall and you got to say, I'm the man, right? I got to do this. And so that became really the moment I started realizing it's all me. I've got to figure things out. If I've got to learn skills and techniques, I've got to do it. And it really led me down a path of really becoming the husband and the father I think I needed to be.
Right.
And over a period of time, she saw me working. She saw me putting in the effort. She saw me loving those kids and loving her, and it restored our relationship. She knew I wasn't leaving. She knew I was working. She knew I was putting in the effort. She knew I was doing everything I could. And I think over a period of time, it made us so close and so tight because she wanted me to be that man. I just wasn't being that man in those hard times, right? When things got hard, I didn't know what to do. I would freak out a little bit, right? And it's hard when you can't just physically overpower things because that's what we're used to doing, right?
Right.
I can control this through my physical strength, but I couldn't do that. I had to learn through God's help how to be meek and kind and patient and loving in those hard moments. And that is really, and to be honest with you, she taught me a lot of that because that's who she was, right?
Right.
She had that spirit of love. She was not a fighter. She was a lover. She was the sweet, right? And so that really created and over a period of years, we just got so close. So, I used to tell people, I've told all my kids this, if we're on a boat and it's sinking and I can save my wife, Shelly, or all 6 of you kids, y'all are going to die because I'm saving my wife.
Y'all better think for yourself.
And you know what? It's interesting because I don't think my wife loved that. And I'm not sure she liked my kids hearing that, but over a period of time, they loved it too. They knew how important it was God and mama and the rest of you suckers, right? And they mattered to me, and I love my kids, but they came third behind everybody, right? Behind God and behind my wife. And then you guys come in there, right? And it gave them courage and strength to know that she and I had that relationship. And I think they were able to see that, and it gave them confidence and courage and strength to see that in our relationship.
See, and I think that's beautiful, right? I think because when the mistake that I see a lot of parents making, and I just got in a conversation with someone else, is that we continue to teach our kids to be in a world with us, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we want to tell them falsities as I'll be there forever, right? Instead of this is the way I perceive the way that you're telling your kids, like, hey, I'm teaching you to live in a world without me, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm teaching you to survive in a world that, that you're growing up in. So don't depend on me to save you, because I'm gonna save this one right here. Because if you guys go, at least I can make some more, right? I mean, it's crazy when I say it, and it's funny, right? And I don't mean nothing by it. It's just a funny analogy. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at it, the kids are looking at it like, yeah, you got to look out for yourself.
Right.
And that's the only thing I mean. Like you're teaching them, hey, look out for yourself.
Right? Also, I think I was teaching them too, and I was very clear with them is God, and then my wife.
Yeah, God
and then my wife, right? And we're a team. My wife and I are a team. And you guys are the offspring, and I want you to have that relationship too with your wives and your husbands. When I want you to have that pattern, God, my spouse, and then everything else, right? And the kids, certainly. But there's a pattern that's been described to us for years of how to create a wonderful world of families and have relationships with God. And that's how we're taught, right? God and your spouse, and then your kids, right? And it really, I think for them now, and when she passed, we were married for 30 years. And my youngest twins were 13 years old when she passed away. And I remember sitting all of them down, and, I feel like I had a prompting from God a few days before she passed away. I felt like she was, and I could feel that. Right. And so I called all my kids together, and I said, listen, I want you guys to know, no matter what happens, that every time I face tragedy or difficulties in my life, I have turned to God. Now, it's going to be tempting to blame God if something bad happens in your life. But Shelly and I never did that. We turned to God together. That's how we face these things. So I said, no matter what happens with your mom, I'm going to turn to God and I'm going to be guided by him. And that is the pattern that I've developed with my wife, Shelly. That's what we did. That's what I'm going to continue to do. And I'm inviting you, my kids, to turn to God for comfort and for healing and for courage and strength, right? Because she's not always going to be here and I'm not always going to be here, right? But the pattern is really what we all want to have ingrained in us, is that pattern of how do we manage our lives and how do we do things in a way that leads us to happiness and joy and hope, right? And that pattern is very clear. And all we got to do is step into that pattern and use it whenever we face those tremendous challenges.
Right. Now, moving, I got to ask this because I think this is the direction that we're going in. So, a couple questions. Leading up to your to your wife's passing, right? The question is, how did she pass? How did you deal with it? And now, how are your children dealing with it? And how are you adjusting to now becoming a single father of children, grieving the loss of your wife, but also dealing with the children grieving the loss of their mother? How do cows stand up in that? Because you say you turn to God, right? But and we've all done this, right? You know what I'm saying? But I've been mad at God too. I've been mad at God, and I've pointed my finger that you did this to me, right? You know what I'm saying? And look, I'm gonna tell you this: God's always been faithful to me, even when I wasn't faithful to Him. When I walked away from Him, He didn't walk away from me, right? You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand that. When I was mad at Him, I didn't understand the Father that He was to me, right? You know what I'm saying? And I didn't understand that it was okay for me to be mad at Him. I didn't understand that, right? I was so wrapped up into my hurt and the life that I was now forced to live that I gave up. Yeah. I was done fighting. So how does a man like Cal, you know what I'm saying, overcome this situation and deal with the challenges now that you're faced?
Well, and I'll tell you, that's a great question, because I've gotten that question before, because people have watched me. I mean, there's people that are close to me that have watched me every step. Right. And I'll tell you, the first thing I did is, so my wife got really sick almost overnight and was in the hospital for 10 days and passed away after 10 days. Right. So, yeah, she ended up passing away of COVID after 10 days in the hospital. Yeah, during that whole ordeal. Now, she had a few health problems, but nothing too tricky. But, you know, that was how she passed away. But I realized almost immediately that we're not the only ones this had happened to. And I think it's important for us to realize we're not the only ones that have faced the tragedy we're facing. Other people have faced it, right? I knew that. And I thought, why not try to learn from others? I'm not going to sit back and just let the storm overwhelm me. I'm going to go to work, right? Yeah. And I said, so I started studying. I started looking for stories of how people made it through these challenges. I found a lot of stories of families that got ripped apart. It destroyed their family. And I said, that crap ain't happening to me. Ain't happening. Right. I ain't doing that. Ain't happening. And so I knew that was, and so I started finding these different stories of kids who had lost their parents at a young age, who had I don't know if you know this, but about 60% of our U.S. presidents had a parent die at a young age.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah, you've read Malcolm Gladwell's book. It sounds like,
I have. Okay, and I thought it was interesting because when I read that part of it, I was like, "Are they sacrificing the parents?
Yeah.
This is too much of a coincidence. Everybody.
And guess what? My kids, when I found that, I told my kids that. I said, "You got a choice. I got a choice, right? This can destroy us. I ain't going for that. I ain't playing that game." Right. And I hope you don't. I'm going to invite you to join me in creating this world. Right now, I didn't. You know, I think people think that grieving and mourning means you have to fall apart for a certain amount of time. And I don't, that's not what I did. I went to work. I said, I can't get lost in my own mind. I can't get lost in my own thoughts of anger and discouragement and unfairness, right? Because it ain't fair. I mean, it ain't fair, right? But I can't do that. I got these kids. I got my own life. I got this world around me. So I started studying and I started planning, and I started involving my kids in my plans. And I created a plan for each of my kids with them. And I created a plan for me, right? How am I going to excel, right? She wouldn't want me to fall apart. She wouldn't want my kids to lose both parents because they lost her. She would want me to stand up tall, like that's the man I am. That's who she knew. Mm-hmm. She'd want me to stand up tall and face it and lead those kids and carry them sometimes, right? Jump on my back when you need to, right? And that's what she would want, because that's who she married. That's who I am. That's who I like to think I am, right? And I think if I think it enough, I think that's who I am, right? And so, I went to work. Now, I took time to grieve, but I would do it in my own time, right? I would tell the kids, don't let anybody tell you how to grieve. You grieve how you want to grieve. It's okay. Nobody's going to tell you how to do this, but I do want you to come along for this fun ride with me. I'm going to continue to live and continue to grow and continue to be happy, because I'm going to turn to God, and the peace that comes with that is a powerful, intoxicating thing, right? Yes, and so a big part of it for me was, I think, not only knowing that I needed to be their rock and their pillar, but also I needed to be that for me, right? I don't like pain and suffering, although I understand it very deeply. Yeah, I understand it. I understand it, right? And you have to go through difficult things to really understand it. But I can't, it's a place I have to visit periodically, but I'm not living there. I'm not choosing to live there. I'm choosing
I understand that. Yeah.
to visit periodically. I'll tell you something. This will tell you, you mentioned being mad at God. So for the first month after she passed away, I couldn't even go in my room, right? Because everything in there is pink, right? There's flowers everywhere, right?
Yeah, I understand. Understandable.
And it smells like her, and it feels like her, and and I couldn't even go in my room and after about 30 days, I thought, I can't sleep on the couch the rest of my life. I got to sleep in my, right? So I remember one night I thought, okay, tonight's the night. I'm going to face this, right? It's going to be hard, but I'm going to face it. And I went up in my room and I kneeled down at the end of my bed. My wife and I used to pray together. It was one of the things it became habitual for us, because we knew if we could involve God in our relationship as we raised our kids, it was probably a good idea, right? That's good. So I kneeled down at the end of my bed, and as soon as I started praying, I got mad. And I mean, sweating, crying mad at God. How could you do this to me, God? For 30 years, I've been praying at the end of this bed with my wife. We went to church every Sunday. We raised our kid. How could you do this to me? Right? And it hit me. The storm hit me. And almost immediately, I thought, oh, I see what's going on here. The devil, he knows I'm a rudderless. He knows I'm on rocky ground. Why would he not take this moment to attack me? If I'm ever going to get Kyle, now's the time, right? I got him.
To do it. Oh,
the devil,
my God.
He is hitting me with he's throwing every spear he's got at me right now. And I recognize that, right? And I thought, oh, I see. He wants me to be mad at God. He wants me to be angry and bitter and discouraged and lose myself in pain and misery and just anger and frustration. I said, I ain't happening. I ain't letting it happen. And I remember within 5 minutes, I stood up at the end of my bed and I walked around to the side of my bed. And I said, I'm not going to kneel there and pray anymore, because that was Shelly in my spot. I'm going to come to my side of the bed and I'm going to kneel here. And I'm going to pray for peace and for comfort. Because I'm including God in this. I know I'm a target. I know I'm a target because you know what? I'm a powerful dude. You are too, Tony. If the devil can get us, he got himself a good one.
Yes, he did. Oh, dude.
And he's trying. He wants us because he knows who I am. He knows that I'm a strong man. That I can cause some real turmoil if I need to.
And that's what he's afraid of, right? Like just like yourself, man. Like I think I came to that realization, but I think mine's was the pain was so great, right? The pain was so great. I didn't know what to do with it, and I was like, look, I don't understand why you would do this to me.
Yeah.
I was obedient to you. I everything that you asked me, I did. And what I'm saying, without question, without any sort of problems. I'm obedient. This is what you okay, I got you. I'm going. What I'm saying, without a problem. Right? Just give me the strength to do the things that you need me to do. When I went through that horrible pain and I was mad at God, God said, let it out. So I knew who I was working with, right? I knew whom I was talking to, because what I'm saying, the compassion and the understanding, and from a place of deep sorrow and weakness, God saw that. And as I'm sitting there talking with him, I have nothing else left. I have nothing else left. And I told God, I said, look, if you're going to take me, this will be the time to do it. I surrender. And God said, it's okay to surrender, but I'm going to comfort you. And it was like, you remember you ever remember as a baby, you get picked up by your parents and get cradled and things like that. And you see that baby calm down and things like that. That's what it was like. It was like he picked me up and he cradled me in his arms, and he wrapped himself around me. And I knew I was safe. And I went to sleep. Right. And God said, I got you. And on the outside, then I realized what was going on. He was shielding me from the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then when he released me back into the world, he goes, now walk with me.
Yeah.
And I will guide you where you need to go. Don't focus over here. Don't go over there. Watch me.
Yeah.
Watch me. I got something for you. And I didn't understand it. And like you said, when the enemy can get one of us, because dude, I was there. I was like, you want it? I got it. I'm about to put this bullet in my head, right? And the enemy was like, and here's the funny part. When I was at that moment, when I was 2 seconds away from putting that bullet in my head, and I stopped, the enemy did like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, you sneaky son of a...
Hey, you know what?
He was like, I got you, though. He goes, next time, I almost got you this time.
Right.
So just remember, when you least expect it, I'm still here watching you.
It's great for us to be able to talk about it afterwards and recognize.
Right.
Because it helps us next time to recognize it, right? Because we know it's not over for us. There are going to be more times where we're challenged, right? One of the things I remember most vividly about that experience is when I moved to the side of the bed and I started praying again. I felt like God said to me, lay your bitterness and your anger and your discouragement and your pain, just lay it at my feet. I got it. I got it. It's not on you anymore. Give it to me. And I'll take it from you so you can stand up and be strong, right? And I remember just feeling like I just said, here you go. I can't do it. Here you go. And God said, I got it, right? It's not you anymore. You gave it to me. I'll take it. All the pain and all the suffering, right? And I just handed it to him, and I prayed, right? And I felt that comfort you were talking about, that warm feeling that, you know what? God knows who I am. He knows who I am very uniquely, specifically. He knows, and he has to allow me to be tested and tempted and tried. That's part of the process, right? To strengthen us.
There you go. Part of the process, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that. the process is not what people think it is. They think they have to go through this magical transformation and things like that, right? And I know for me, right, the transformation, the process was me releasing a lot of things that I didn't need, a lot of things that I thought that would keep me safe, a lot of things that kept me from growing into the person that you see today. It was releasing that and accepting something different in order to evolve into the individual that God needed me to be in order to do the work that I was called to do. Right. Because I couldn't do it in the old version. I couldn't do it being in a comfort zone. I couldn't do it holding on to safety nets and things like that. So he put me in a vulnerable place and said, take that, Tony. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? He was like, I'm removing stuff. I'm removing. But what I'm doing is at the same time that I'm removing it, I'm putting stuff in. Now, and when you figure out what I'm putting in there, we can start working on these new set of skills that I have for you. But we got to get rid of all this stuff. So here you go. So, and I was like, why you keep doing that?
I think, Tony, I've come to some conclusions in my life, and one of them is this. I think I like to consider myself to be strong, right? And I hope most men do feel that way, right? But you don't humble and break a brick wall with a small hammer. You need a sledgehammer. You know what I'm saying? You need a big giant hammer. You need a crane to knock down a building, right? And I'm a building. You ain't gonna knock me down with no little ball peen hammer, right? You ain't gonna be able to push it over. It's gonna take something real big, real strong, real forceful to humble me, to put me in a position where I say, listen, I can't do this by myself. I can't. Yeah. I can't do it by myself. I like to think I got broad shoulders. I like to think I'm strong, and I am. But I also realize I can't do it by myself. Right?
There it goes. Yeah.
And you almost need to be smashed, right? And I feel like, you and I talked about this earlier. It takes, the transformation. If you're not big and strong, the transformation ain't that big and strong, right? But there's men out there who are powerful, who could change the world, right?
Right.
They are these kind of men. And I like to think I'm that. I'd like to, I think you're that, Tony. Those men have to be smacked, right? We got to be smacked over the head. We got to be beat down. We got to go through hell and back to really find out who we are. Now, the question is, are we going to come back from hell? Too many of us get stuck in hell, and then we start to live there, and then we start to create a bitter, angry, defensive, frustrated world around us. The world is like that because there's so many people out there that are angry and bitter and frustrated, right? And angry and bitter and frustrated people live in an angry, bitter world. Happy, joyful, confident, courageous people live in a happy, joyful world. The same world.
Yeah.
Same world. Right.
I also think a lot of it had to do with COVID, right? You know what I'm saying? The unexpectancy of COVID. So, I don't really blame people for the way that they are. You know what I'm saying? I just say take control over your own thoughts, your emotions, you know what I'm saying? And change your perception, your perspective on life. Everything else changes, right? Because nothing changes unless something changes, right? So you are in control of all of that. But I think what happened during COVID, it was such an unexpected thing. People say, oh, it's just the flu magnified and things like that, right? You know what I'm saying? Until somebody passed away from it. They was like, whoa, this is something different, right? You know what I'm saying? People are actually dying from this. Well, yes, they are, right? You know what I'm saying? And then quarantine. You got people locked in their homes. You got kids in environments that they can't escape anymore. At least they had school. At least they can go out and play with their friends and things like that. They can escape an abusive environment. At least, you know what I'm saying? When couples, men and women, were in abusive relationships and things like that, they can separate themselves.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I can go to work. You know what I'm saying? I can do this. Because you notice there's one thing that stayed over, two things that stayed open the whole time during quarantine.
Yeah.
Liquor stores and marijuana and marijuana dispensaries, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. And guess what? Both of them got rich during quarantine.
They sure did.
So,
yeah.
Can we imagine who the addicts were, who were the abusers? right? And those who was trying to escape reality, you know what I'm saying? Think about it. The amount of overdoses went up during this time, right? Heroin, you know what I'm saying? Meth, fentanyl. Fentanyl hit the scene and pretty much everybody's like, oh, we're going to do it. And they dying. Left and right. So they escaping this. So I think that had a lot to do with it. Mental health issues went through the roof. You know what I'm saying? There was a whole lot of things that was going on. Things that we tried to warn people about too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you guys aren't thinking about it, but maybe y'all should start thinking about it. People's like, oh no, it's not so bad until it was bad. Right. So I don't fault people, you know what I'm saying, for how they react in the world that we live in now. I mean, look at the world that we do live in now, right? You know what I'm saying? There's wars going on, right? You know what I'm saying? We got inflation. We got all kinds of things going on, but it takes individuals like us to go out there and give them that little spark of hope, because sometimes that's all it's needed, right? Give them that little spark of hope so they can go out there, you know what I'm saying, and testify of how good God is, right? You know what I'm saying? Let them testify through us. That's why we go through the fire, right? We being tested so we can go out there, you know what I'm saying, so God can exalt us to a level to where we can bring other people up, right? Because we're the inspirations, right? You know what I'm saying? Our testimonies say it all, and yours says it all, man. Yours said, Father, now let's talk about this for a minute, right? You know what I'm saying? Because the autism, how are you now dealing with the child and learning the new skills and navigating this world as a single father to kind of, you know what I'm saying, be in position to help?
Yeah. So, you know, it always changes as he grows older and bigger, and you know, there's the patterns that we've set up in our family of facing challenges in a spirit of love, right? And kindness. And there are things, you know, it's interesting because I'm not sure he completely understands her passing. And she used to nurture him. He would let her love on him, and he won't let me do that. He just won't. I don't know why, but he won't let me hug him or love on him. But I'll tell you, it's a big part of it, Tony, and this goes back to, I think, what we've really been talking about is two things. First of all, I want anybody that's watching this, I want you guys to know that there's nothing special about you and me, Tony. We're just regular guys, right? I think some people may look and say, well, you're different than me. And I want everybody to know that there's not one moment in either of our lives that we just flipped and became strong, right? It's little decisions made consistently. You know, it's little things that anybody can do, right? That help you build strength, right? You don't go to the gym one day and come out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
You go every day and you grow a little bit and get a little stronger. But I think too many individuals might look at the situation and say, well, I'm too far gone, or I'm just an average guy. That's me. I'm telling you right now. That's how I see myself. Yeah. I'm just an average guy, no special skills, that has just stayed at it, right? Keep on keeping on. And I think that's a big part of it for my son, is to keep on keeping on, right? It's, you know, I remember one time my dad called me. My dad was a get rich quick guy that never got rich. And I'll tell you something. It was funny. When I was growing up, we were dirt poor because he was always trying these get rich quick schemes that never worked, right?
Right.
Well, when I grew up, I thought, I ain't doing that. I'm going to figure something out, the real. And so I started working on my career and doing some things. And I remember I was probably, 35 years old, had a little bit of success in life, you know, was married now with a couple kids. And I got a call from my dad. He said, hey, I finally found the real one that's going to make me rich.
Right.
Okay, I'm 35 now, and he's still doing it. He's an old man now, right? And I listened to him, and then I said, hey, Dad, don't you ever get tired of these get-rich-quick schemes? They don't work. You've been doing this your whole life. Why do you keep doing them? And I could hear him on the other line thinking. And then all of a sudden, I could almost tell he smiled. And he said, what's the worst thing that could happen? I could die trying? And he started laughing, right? And that made me mad at first, Tony. It made me
Yeah, I
mad.
can imagine.
And I thought, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what? His pursuit of that kept him happy and buoyant and hopeful and
Right.
courageous. And he was always trying. He never gave up. And you know what? He died, never got rich, but he never gave up. And he was always happy and joyful. And when I went to his funeral, I can't tell you, I had people come out of the woodworks to tell me, your dad, man, he changed my life. He was so great and so happy. And everywhere he went, he left a wake of happiness everywhere he went. Right? Everybody that he touched was a happier human being because he touched them. And I'm like, that's the legacy, right? Because he never stopped. It wasn't that he got rich. He didn't achieve his goal, but he never stopped trying, and he had joy and happiness. And I think that's the way I feel about my son on the autism spectrum. That sucker may not ever tell me, I love you. He won't say it. He would tell his mom that. He won't tell it to me. And I'm trying. And I'm treating him kind, and I'm loving on him. But he won't say it. But guess what? If he never says it and I die trying, it seems like it's okay to me. You know what I'm saying?
I love that, man. I definitely love that because you finally figured it out.
You know what? It's the pursuit.
Figured it out.
Yeah, it's the effort. It's not the reward. It's who we become by giving that effort, right? It's the people we become by keeping on and keeping on trying. You know, I don't. Again, I want my dad's legacy. I want to leave. I don't care if I leave my kids a lot of money. They'll spend that anyway, right? I'll spend it.
Right.
I want to leave them with a legacy of, holy moly, that was awesome, right? I like that he touched my life in some sort of way, right? And my dad did that. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I think a lot of people, you don't need to leave people money. That's not who cares about that legacy? That money's gone anyway, right? But if you leave a legacy of happiness and joy in your wake, if you leave people behind you better, or they look at you and go, you know what, maybe I can do something. Maybe I'm a regular guy and I can just take a few steps in this area, or maybe I can become a better father or a better husband just by taking a few simple steps on a small steps every day, right? Not something big, giant. I don't have to, cure cancer. I don't have to do that, right? All I got to do is be a little bit better, be a little bit happier, affect people around me, invite people, right? To be happy, to come with me, to join in. What a legacy that is, right? That's where the beauty lies.
Yeah.
And that's why I do what I do, Tony, is because I want people to, if the whole world was happy, if the whole world was looking at it with our eyes, I mean, this world would be a place, boy.
Man, right? It would be a place of constant creativity, constant adventure, constant uplifting one another, constant speaking life into one another. You know what I'm saying? Constant understanding that, hey, when life throws you some challenges, you know what I'm saying? Sit with it and learn. Let it be your mentor. Let it teach you. Yeah. Right? You know what I'm saying? And most importantly, don't take it personal.
Yeah.
It's not personal, right? You know what I'm saying? Because it's not. And when you start to take it personal, I think that's where people find their challenges become either too great or they either find them challenges too great because it's too personal, right? It hits in a space where, you know what I'm saying, in that personal space where everything seems so overwhelming. Smallest thing seems like a building, you know? Yeah. I've been there. We've all been there, right? You know what I'm saying?
I remember right after my wife died, I was reading a book called you've heard of Napoleon Hill. You read a lot of books, I'm sure.
Yes.
He wrote The Law of Success and Think and Grow Rich, all these different books. Well, I found myself, one of the things I did a lot of is read after she passed away because it would take my mind away from some of the things that were hard, right? And I was reading The Law of Success, and in there it said, with every challenge or trial or difficulty we face, there is the seed of equivalent or greater value, right? And we've all probably heard that. And I used to believe that. But then when my wife passed away, it made me mad initially, right? With every trial or challenge or difficulty we face is the seed of equivalent or greater value. There can be no equivalent or greater value in this world. It can't be. I was mad. I said it ain't real no more. I don't believe that anymore, because nothing is going to give me as much joy as the pain I'm suffering through with my wife's passing. Right? And this happened right after she passed away. Well, about a month ago, Tony, I found myself reading it again, the same caption. And this time I read it different. And it said, with every trial or challenge or difficulty comes the seed of greater or equivalent value. And I saw that word seed. And I thought, oh, a seed is not a full bloom. It's not a full tree with apples on it. It's not a full blown thing. A seed, you have to nurture it. You have to water it and love it and talk to it and give it sunlight, and nurturing is the seed is the nurturing. When we have a trial or a difficulty or a challenge, we need to nurture the seed of the beauty that can come from it. We may never even experience the full bloom, the full beautiful flower, or the apples off that tree, or whatever it is, but we got to nurture that seed. And I think that's when we're working at it, right? When we die trying, right? When we stay at it, even if we don't see the result we want, if we keep nurturing it, then a lot of different people are going to see the bloom, and we're going to feel it grow, and we are going to grow with it. And so, and I think that happens to us, right, Tony? We'll read something 10 years ago and it means nothing. We'll read it today and it means something huge, and I think
legacy. Legacy. That's what that is, right? You know what I'm saying? We may never see the impact that we have on people, right? We may hear certain things here and there, right, throughout the work that we do and things like that, but we remain humble. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. I'm keeping moving, right? I got to do some other things, because we're so focused on fulfilling that contract with God and our contract with the people that we serve, to give back the gift that we've been given. Right, you know what I'm saying? That's the seed. It's blossoming and things like that. But we put it out into the world. We're not paying attention to the fruits of the labor.
Right.
We really aren't, because for one, when you build a legacy, you say, you know what? Go ahead, grab your piece of that fruit up there. But I'm gonna go on over here, because I got a lot of other people that I need to bring back this way. And you keep bringing these people back, and they keep picking from this fruit. You know what I'm saying? Picking from this tree. There's this delicious fruit that you keep putting up there, and they're looking, going, man, wow. He's something amazing, man. You know what I'm saying? Look at what he gave me. We're not paying no attention to that, because you know what? We're not focusing on eating the fruit, because we're already filling ourselves with the purpose that we're walking. And that's the purpose of it, right? You know what I'm saying? Because when success and all of these things come that, that we want to say that we're working towards, but you know what I'm saying? The thing is that don't be chasing success. Success will come when it comes. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, this is how success is supposed to work. You're never supposed to know when you're successful. If you're too busy working at, the things that you're supposed to do, right? Don't pay attention to your bank account. Don't pay attention to have fun along the way. Focus on God. Don't focus on the success, because you're going to easy come, easy go, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you focus on the purpose and the mission that you're here for. Everything else takes care of itself. That's just about, don't get wrapped up into a fantasy world.
Yeah. Well, and I want to, I came across something a while back, Tony, and I think I mentioned this to you before, but I heard a director of a movie say something that I thought was tremendously profound. And I want people to understand this, is he said that the villain and the hero have the same backstory.
Yes.
He says the villain, in every story, the villain is abused and treated unkindly, and the world is harsh to them. And the villain grows up and says, I was abused and I was treated unkindly, and the world was harsh to me, so I'm going to make the world pay. Right? And he says, now the hero was abused and treated unkindly, and the world smashed him, right? And the hero comes out the other side and says, you know what? I was abused and treated unkindly, and I had to face these challenges, but I don't want anybody else to have to face them. So I'm going to save people. I'm going to be I don't want anybody else to have to suffer like I
Right.
suffer.
Right.
And that's the only difference between the villain and the hero, right? Now,
Yeah.
if we look at what's going on in this world, if we're bitter, if we're angry, if we're frustrated, we're villains. That's harsh. I know that's harsh, and I don't want to sound harsh. But listen,
Yeah.
if you're not spreading happiness and joy, you're a villain in your own story.
This
Now,
is very true.
the good news is you could have, we talked about it earlier. You could have been a villain. You got good reason to be a villain. Right, Tony? I got good reason.
It's very
I
true,
got some
man.
good reason. Some crap has happened to me.
Yeah.
Ain't fair. Ain't right. There's no way in the world that it should have happened to me in a fair world. Tony, you got a story that's deep. I know your story. You could easily be a villain, and guess what? It would be justified. Tony, you've been hit. You've been beat on. It's been tough. It would be easy for you to say, the world's going to pay, and it would feel justified in you. But you know what? You made a choice, bro. And I love that about you, Tony. You decided, I'm going to help other people not have to suffer. I'm going to share this and let people know that they can stand up, right? You're the hero, right, of your story. You've decided to be a hero, and that's a choice that each one of us makes every day as we face challenges and trials, as we face these difficult things in life. We can be a villain, and it's easy to do, and it's justified, brother. It is just okay. You got good reason to be angry or bitter or frustrated. You got good reason, right? We do,
Yeah.
but we got a choice to make, and the choice is, what do we choose? Right? Same backstory. I say, hey, choose a little bit of good, right? A little bit at a time. You don't have to save the world. You just have to save yourself first. Save yourself. And then once you start feeling better and better and getting there, start helping others, right? Spread it out. Make a choice. If you're running down a bad path, and it's easy to say, you know what? I got good reason to run down this bad path. I get it. It makes perfect sense. But guess what? I can choose today to start being a hero and help others not have to suffer.
Right.
Not have to go through this pain. Maybe my story can help somebody else. Maybe they're in the same place I was, and just by sharing with them some of the simple steps I took, nothing crazy, right? One little small move at a time. It's not this big giant leap from nothing to something. It's a tiny little step in the right direction, right? It's better to be 2 steps from hell and aim in the right direction than 2 steps from heaven and aim in the wrong direction.
That's very true. But I think a lot of people misread the plays, right? You know what I'm saying? See, when you say when you put it into perspective like that, it's as if I'm going to play checkers, because checkers is a fast game, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, if you go and understand the moves and things like that, now you switch it over to more of a chess game. It's patience.
Yeah.
Everything that you do, you're either gonna make a wrong move or you're gonna make a good move, right? You know what I'm saying? But at least you're taking the time to make a move.
Be thoughtful.
Be thoughtful in the moves that you make, right? You know what I'm saying? And if you get hit, okay, that's fine. Hey, no worries.
Because you are going to get hit. You're going to get hit.
You gotta get hit, man. You gotta get hit, right?
That's
you know what I'm saying? Because that's how you're gonna learn the game.
That's right.
That's how you're gonna have to learn how to move. And sometimes you getting hit is not a bad thing, because it allows you to make the move in the right direction with the next move. Right. So you learn. You go through the process as we've been talking about. You go through the process and you learn. Right. You know, and that's what makes us who we are, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, 2 moves away from hell or 2 moves away from heaven. Which choose one.
Right.
How are you going to checkmate this world? Or are you going to allow this world to checkmate you?
Right.
It's your choice. Again, those 3 things, you know what I'm saying, in this world, you know, I'm just going to add another one to it. You know what I'm saying? In our lives, we got that complete 360 circle. We got the villain, the hero, and we got the victim. right? You know what I'm saying? We play these,
Yeah,
we play these
that's
in
right.
our life all the time, right? You know what I'm saying? You're either the victim, the villain, or the hero. And it does not matter what type of day it is. You play on one of them.
Right. You're right.
You're going
Yeah.
to play one of them. It's inevitable, right? Because that's the pattern that we have in our life. Now, here's the fourth one, right? And I think this is the one that we both have been elaborating on, and I just want to put it out there. You become the observer. When you can step outside of victimhood or villainhood, or you know what I'm saying, look at the hero, you become the observer, because now you can now start to break those cycles. And then you can then begin to look at yourself in a way, not as any of those, but as an individual who has now developed a purpose and knowledge to move and make the right moves in the right direction.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what it's about. Like you said, you know what I'm saying? The villain and the hero got the same story. You know what I'm saying? They both do, you know. And
Yeah.
so does the victim. Because
Yeah.
the victim is a connection part to both of those, right? You
Sure.
have to be a victim in order to be a villain.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah,
Right?
same thing.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Well,
Because
being
it's
a
gonna
victim, ultimately being a victim makes you bitter and angry and frustrated too, right?
right. And
Because the
it
world is
turns you
beating
one of two
you up.
ways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah.
turns you one
You're
of
right.
two ways. Either into the hero, you can become a, like you said, look, here's a connection. You're a victim, or you become the villain, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You go, I'm gonna be better, we're gonna make the world. Or you're a victim, you become the hero, and you go, just like you said, I'm gonna make sure that no one else has to go through the same things I'm going through.
Right.
The observer steps outside of there and goes, I see what you just did,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to give you a bishop.
Yeah.
Let's see what we do with these right here.
Right. Right.
We have more moves to make. We don't have to be these things. But what we can do is that now that we understand that we are capable of these things and we have these skills, the next move, are you going to uplift the next move into the person that you're moving towards? Because you should never repel the individual, but you should attract them. It's no longer a checkmate. It's no longer a checkmate, because when that person is attracted to you, he crowns you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
crowns you.
I
He
like
goes,
that.
I see what you just did, and I want to let you know that I appreciate you. Here you go.
Yeah.
Thank you for being you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. So that's what I mean by the checkmate. He's not trying to checkmate you. He's trying to crown you and say, thank you for standing up in a place that you're supposed to be in. So no longer are you playing the fast game. You're playing a game to where you're going to inspire people, that you're going to, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be an example of what it is to be totally human in a world that is that is semi-complicated.
Sure. Sure.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's what I mean by that. You know, and now what's next for Kyle, man?
I'm enjoying working with families that have kids on the spectrum. I'm finding myself on more and more podcasts for a couple of reasons. One, as my wife passed away and we managed our grief so beautifully, I've had people come asking me for those kind of questions. And so I'm going to continue running down that path, right? The path of I know what my purpose is, Tony. I know exactly what my purpose is.
Exactly. Me too.
And I can quote it to you. And I don't know if I'll do that right now, but
no, we keep our purposes to ourselves, right?
That's right.
We let our actions show what our purpose is.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Because when we start to tell people, see, life has a strange way of going, we're going to redirect you because you're talking too much.
Right.
Let your actions show what your purpose is.
And the thing that I love about what I'm doing and what I'm moving towards is it all aligns with my purpose. And that purpose doesn't include anyone or anything. It includes a lot of what you said, service and impact, right? And those things that I know will not only make my world beautiful, but it'll make my kids' world beautiful. And they can spread that too. And really that is my purpose, is to focus on serving and loving and letting people see that, man, you can get smashed in the head with a sledgehammer. You can get the hell beat out of you. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You can still do. You can still be happy and courageous and moving forward with confidence and faith, because you know who you are You know what your purpose is.
Exactly.
And it does not matter, Tony, what happens. Exactly. Because I'm going to run towards that purpose, and I'm going to be running hard. You know, I had a friend of mine recently tell me, he said, life is like a conveyor belt that's going the wrong direction.
Understand, yes.
He said, you already understand, don't you? He said, if you stand on it and don't do anything, you're going the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and if you walk at a good pace, you can move a little bit, you know, a little bit forward every day. And if you run at you move at a really good pace, you can keep moving forward and really, he said, but if you're just standing still and expecting the world to become a better place or expecting your life to change just by standing still, that conveyor belt's going to drag you back. It requires some effort and some work. You can't stand in your own spot and expect your life to get better or for it to be happy or to move forward. You have to be moving, right? You have to take action on a daily basis, and a little bit of small action is, you won't get too tired. You can do it, and you'll be surprised how far you can get just with a little bit of action every day. But you can't just sit, because that conveyor belt will drag you back, right? We're designed to be creative and to work and to grow. We're not designed to, a lot of these people, I think that the idea of socialism, right? This utopia where we all sit in a hot tub and eat pizza and that's not what humans are about. Humans are about progression and growing and serving and thriving. And we need challenges in our lives. Socialism, that's not heaven to me. Not sitting in a hot tub eating pizza all day. That's boring.
Yeah, that's boring.
I need some. We all need challenges.
I need a cow in my life. I need, what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I need people like Kyle in my life that's going to be like, dude,
you can do it.
See that opportunity over there? Let's go grab that, right?
Let's go grab it. Yeah.
Let's go grab it. Let's go see what we can do and manifest out of this thing. How many people can we impact in a positive? We need cows in our life. We need more people, that are driven to make that impact in this world.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what we need in our lives. We need people that's going to say, hey man, I know you like sitting in the hot tub and eating pizza, but I'm gonna need you to get up though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to get up. I don't want nobody to come to me and say, and like you said, man, hey man, I got 2 boxes of pizza, I got a 12-pack of beer, and as a matter of fact, I got a whole case of beer, let's go sit in the hot tub and do nothing.
Yeah, right? Not for me.
Let's go chill. That's not for me, right? Let's go chill, right?
No, yeah, I don't, Tony. I don't have a man cave. I have a library.
I don't look. I have an office.
That's right.
I have an office. You dig what I'm saying? When I'm not at the office, I'm still working. Look, man. Yeah. When I tell you that's all I do. I do this during the daytime: podcasting, running a nonprofit, writing. Doing programs and this, that, and another. And I do security work at night from 9 to 5. So from 5 to 8, I sleep. From 8:30, from 8 o'clock to 8:30, I'm getting up, getting ready. I'm praising God. I'm thankful. From 8:30 to 9 o'clock, we're coming into the office. That is my daily routine.
Yeah.
I have seen when the devil comes for me, he's like, oh, I see Tony. He's on his phone. Right? You know what I'm saying? I can go now, man. I'm busy right now. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get these things together real quick. You know what I'm saying? I'm shooting off this email, so I don't have time for him. And by the time he comes back around, he's like, "Oh well, Tony's asleep." Yeah, you're right. Come mess with me tomorrow, man.
Because I'm tired. That's why I'm sleeping. Because I'm tired.
Yeah, I've already done my work. Look, I've already worked 22 hours out of the day. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to rest for 2 hours, and then I'm gonna go about my day.
I tell my kids, listen, when I lay down to go to sleep, I'm tired. You know why I'm tired? Because I put in a good day's work.
There you go.
And I am tired. I'm tired. Because I don't even have a choice.
That's for me. I ain't got no open spaces in my day.
Right.
Right. Yeah. When he comes after me, he's like, "Oh, Tony's asleep. Yeah, man, come back tomorrow, man. You may be able to get me tomorrow. I'm not playing video games. I'm working."
Right. The beautiful thing about that, Tony, I think probably for you too, is a lot of my work is doing things that I love to do.
Yeah.
So it's not like I get up and I go to work and I work. It's like I go to work, right? I'm serving my kids. I'm taking them to their basketball games. I'm watching this. I'm doing this. I'm moving and I'm busy, but I'm loving it. You know why?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know my purpose, and it's all leading me towards my purpose, right? And that purpose gives me energy. It gives me
You
fire.
already know.
I don't need a rest. I don't want to rest. You know why? Because I'm enjoying the work. I'm enjoying the love. I'm enjoying, and if you have to go to work for 8 hours a day, let me give you a hint. You don't like your job? Go there and pretend they're paying you to learn.
There you go.
And when you're out there, learn like crazy. Guess what? You'll learn so much, and they're paying you to learn. That's what I'm talking about. Learn, and then take that out and use it, right? Find something that fires you up and gets you motivated and gets you going.
Man, ain't that the truth, brother?
Because then you work, that brings you joy. Serving my kids, doing things for other people. If you were to tell me, hey, Kyle, I need you to be here and speak or do this or do that. And I'm like, that sounds like service. That's my deal. I'm on my way, right? I want to do that because it gives me energy. It lifts me. It fills my cup. It's passion, right? And other people may say that sounds like a lot of work. And to me, it don't. It sounds like a lot of fun, right?
That's what I mean, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, man, it's crazy that you say that. The other day, I did 4 podcasts back to back, right?
Yeah.
May seem like a lot because people are like 4. I was like, yeah, I just scheduled in 6 more people.
There you go.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Today I had 3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow I got 5. Right? So I'm doing them. I'm knocking them out. I'm doing them, right? I'm having fun. People are like, aren't you burnt out? I was like, no, man, do you not understand how much fun I'm having?
You don't get burnt out when you love it.
Conversations that I have with people, man, like I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I want my guests to have a blast with me. So, man, I'm having fun. And the fact of, that people still coming back to talk to me, I know that, hey, I must be doing something okay, right?
There you
I
go.
must be an okay type of person. You still want to, okay, yeah, let's talk some more. Hey, I love it, man.
Me too.
When people come back to my support groups and things like that, I'm like, oh, you back? Oh, I didn't run you off. No, man, I really enjoyed being here. What you did last time, so I came back to see what you're going to do today. Well, that's cool. I got something else new. Let me know how you like it, right? Because I'm a big kid.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a big kid in a world full of opportunities, you know what I'm saying? And possibilities. And I want to make sure that I'm not wasting anything. I'm making sure that in this lane that I'm in, that I'm exploring everything that God has laid out for me. Did I miss something, God? Oh, there's a rock over there. Yeah, Tony, there's something under this rock. I'm going over there and get that rock. I'm going to move it over. I got to see. God said that he got something over there. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited for it, right? And I feel, okay, I'm going to do that. Oh, Tony, look, there's that blanket over there that you didn't move, right? You know what I'm saying? I hit another egg under there. It's like an Easter egg hunt for me, right? You know what I'm saying? I got to go over there. I got to see, man. I got to see, what did you do over here, God? Now, there's been times where I've been tricked, where I thought it was God said, hey, over behind that building over there, I got something for you. And I go over there and I got like 3 Kung Fu masters over there kicking the holy crap out of me. Now I got to run back over to where I was. I'm like, whoa, hold on. I'm going back, right? So I have been tricked before. You know what I'm saying? It comes with the territory, man.
You know what? I think you're right, Tony. I think if you go into something with skepticism, it's never going to work.
No.
But guess what? If you go into it with hope and optimism, you are going to get burned occasionally. I've been burned myself a few times, but
it's part of the process.
I'm learning from it. If nothing else, I'm learning from it, right?
Yeah.
But I think to go into something and say, well, I don't think this is going to work, but I'm going to do it anyway, you're already failed.
Yeah.
You got to
I never look at anything and say, oh, this is not going to work. I look at it and go,
I'm going to make it work.
I'm gonna see what happens, right? You know what I'm saying? But as doing this thing, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna, just because, this is one thing people got to understand. When you start something, you're not going to be perfect right off the bat.
Right.
You're just not, right? You know what I'm saying? You're going to fall just like a child. You know what I'm saying? When learning how to walk, you're going to fall down, you're going to get back up, you're going to fall down, you're going to get back up. And then eventually you're going to take your first step. You know what I'm saying? Then you're going to take the second step. You may fall down again. Get back up, right? You may fall down and bump your head on the wall. Like, we've all done that before. We may fall down and roll over, right? We see kids do that before. Hey, they try to get back up and roll over and stuff like that. Like, they get back up and keep trying. So use that as a part of your life, right? You know what I'm saying? No matter what you're trying to um do and you know what I'm saying, in this world, go out there and don't just be courageous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um and just enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Don't focus on the destination. Now, with that being said, Cal, how can people find you, brother?
You can connect with me on Facebook, Kyle Jetsel, KYLEJETSEL. I don't have a lot of information out there other than that. I do have a Facebook. That's the best way probably now, is just on Facebook. And
Okay.
I also, if you want to email me, you can do that at kyle@drivenautismdad.com. That's my email. And I don't have an assistant. I see all my emails. So if you just want to chat or whatever, send me a quick email. I go through all of them personally. I'm like you, Tony. I'm energized by human interaction.
Right.
Not everybody is, and I understand that. But the more people that reach out to me that I get to touch or I get to talk to or I get to be involved with, the happier I am. So I'm never too busy, right? Never too busy, never too overwhelmed. That's how they can get in touch with me. I'm curious about you, Tony. What do you got going on next? I want to hear. You hinted at something earlier. Is it for another podcast, Tony, or is it?
Well, I'll tell you after this. I don't want to put it out there, you know what I'm saying, too far ahead and things like that. But I'll definitely share it with you. So, and with the Cal, with that being said, brother, thank you for being on the show today, man. Thank you for this awesome conversation, the laughs, the journey, just being you, brother. Such an inspiration, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the virtual hugs to you, man.
Yeah.
Big fist pound to you, man. We got many more conversations going on. You know what I'm saying? Which we'll talk about. And for those who have been tuning in and have tuned in, thank you for that support as well. And if you haven't already, do me a favor, go to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you enjoy these conversations, please, by all means, if you're tuning in a little bit later, leave some questions. We'll get back to you. You know what I'm saying? But also, if you know anyone that can benefit from these conversations that we're having, share it with them. I am Tony Lynch. This is going to conclude another episode of Brief Let's Talk About It podcast. And until next time, guys, you guys keep rocking with me and keep bringing and letting us support you guys. We love you guys. And we out. Until next time. Peace.